Um, Before our guest comes in a few moments, I want to shift over to the G20 meeting. Now, the G20 usually includes the top 20 economies, and the US decided to boycott over South Africa persecuting the white farmers, if you remember that whole thing. And they, are kind of like, okay, we're going to move on without you. So the headline, can the world move on without the US? G20 leaders gave it a shot. It says President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa could not contain his laughter. A reporter asked him to confirm reports that the United States had dropped its boycott and asked to participate in the Group of 20 summit in Johannesburg, just 2 days before it was set to start. The South African leader barely uttered a word before breaking down in laughter, eventually composing himself and saying he had received a note that from the Americans, quote, about a change of mind, unquote. President Trump's spokeswoman, Carolyn Levitt, later said that Mr. Ramaphosa's language was, quote, not appreciated by the president or his team, unquote. Just a few weeks ago, that sort of scolding from the White House would have set off a slight panic in the South African government, and perhaps drawn an explanation from Mr. Ramaphosa for his departure from diplomatic decorum. But with Mr. Trump boycotting the annual meeting over his contention that South Africa is persecuting its white minority, some countries were taking a tougher tone on the world's largest economy and trying to show that life can go on. That meant shaking hands, signing deals, deepening alliances, and making pledges at slickly produced live events. The G20 should send a clear message that the world can move on with or without with or without the U.S., Ronald Lamolia, South Africa's foreign minister, said at a forum hosted by Bloomberg before the summit. We will mark them absent and continue with the business. South Africa declined a Trump administration request that Mr. Ramaphosa ceremonially hand over the summit to the acting ambassador for the United States, which hosts next year's G20. Mr. Ramaphosa would not hand over to a junior diplomat, the government said, adding that American officials could instead come by its foreign ministry later in the week for the handover. At the summit, Mr. Ramaphosa pushed ahead with an agenda that put African interests at the fore.